Hey y'all, Fred here. Thanks so much for joining me today, and happy holidays early to everybody. We are at the end of the year. It's time to do top 10 full-size knives. So I had to set a bar between what constitutes my EDC, which is a smaller size knife, versus what I'm going to call my full-size knife. The only thing I could really settle on was using a 3-inch ruler. So 3 inches is the actual cutting size of the blade, not the fully measured out size. In this case, this would have been, 3 3/4, give or take. But the shortest blade in this whole list is this Microtech Stitch replica, and it comes in, as you can see, just a hair over 3 inches. But I'm pretty sure everybody can more or less agree this is definitely a full-size knife and not what most people would consider to be an everyday carry. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to rank these things in order from number 10 over here down to number 1 over there. Let me also say that I think almost none of these knives, maybe the Civivi Vision was first created and put out in 2024. I think maybe the carbon fiber version of the Stitch came out in 2024. I think all these knives were put out into the market before 2024, and some of them way before 2024. But y'all, I don't get free knives from manufacturers that just send me knives to review, and I can say, okay, I'm only going to show knives that were put out into the market this year. I don't have that luxury. I only buy knives, and everything on this table I've paid for with my own money. If y'all haven't seen my videos before, then let me also go ahead and say half of the knives, if not more, on this table are actually replica knives. They're not the actual real thing. So if that's not what y'all are interested in, then this might not be the video for you. However, some of them are very, very real knives. So certainly the Vision is real. The Petrified fish is real. The 𝗙𝗂𝗹𝗹 is very real, although it is what some people might call a clone or an offshoot from the Paramilitary 2. I think the rest are all replica knives, but they're all good knives and all knives that I enjoy carrying. So I picked my top 10, and I'm going to rank them in order of best to least favorite. All right, let's start down at the far end of the spectrum here. We're going to make some space over here on the right side so we can kind of add this. So number 10 on this list is really the Microsoft Stitch. So this is a hard category because I don't carry a lot of these knives on a regular basis, but I will pull them out if I ever have an occasion to go do something that I know I'll need a little bit more of a stout knife to handle. And this is definitely fits into that category, but I didn't really buy this knife. It is a replica. I didn't buy it so that I could use it and carry it every day. It's a bit big and unwieldy, certainly a big, heavy blade. It's got great action on it, and I love it, but this is more for my wax museum of knives. I just wanted to have an example in my collection that was representative of the real knife without having to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars to get it. So although I love this knife and wouldn't trade it for anything, I don't carry it for all those reasons. Plus, I did a blade spine whack test on this and discovered that if you whack the spine on this replica hard enough, it will break through that lock mechanism. I'm not going to do that here again. I have a whole video on that. You can go see it. But I love this knife. It's not like I don't like it less than the others. It's just that I'm not going to carry this knife. So that was why it ended up as number 10 in that position. All right, so now where do we go? Y'all, I did these knives before, and it was a tough call between the Bodacious and the Shaman, okay? So these are basically numbers 8 and 9, and you can put them in any order you want. I picked up the Shaman first. This is a replica. It does ride very nice. It feels great in the hand. The Shaman has those kind of melted, rounded corners that just feel great. Nice forward choke-up position. Really good control in the hand. This is a nice, thick, heavy-duty kind of work knife. So I definitely will use that if I'm going to go do something a little heavy-duty. But then just as equally capable is the Bodacious, which I kind of call its twin brother, but not identical twins. This has more or less the same shape handle, certainly not as comfortable as the Shaman, and there's no forward finger choil. What that means, though, is you get a much longer cutting surface and a nice, thick, beefy blade. This to me is like a sharp pry bar on crack. So great action, very strong detent, probably the strongest detent out of any knife I own. It takes a lot of force. There is no way you're going to fail that thing, but it feels incredibly solid. So 8 and 9, those are interchangeable. Love those knives. Definitely something I would probably go to if I knew I was going to like go to a cardboard box factory and spend an entire day cutting boxes. Probably you're going to take the Shaman because it's going to be the most comfortable in your hand. All right, let's move on to number 7. So this is the Petrified fish Beluga. This is their full-sized version. This is a K110, which is basically a D2 steel. It's going to hold a very nice edge, certainly compared to a lot of the other replicas here on the table. It's a nice full-size knife, feels good in the hand. I love this kind of blue jean micarta. Feels great, but it's basically a front flipper only. You can see the action on this thing is just so nice. This thing, the weight of that blade, once you get it past that detent right there, this thing just falls shut on itself. You can use that fuller right there. It's got just enough of a bite. You can use it for either front or reverse flips. So nice knife, big, huge belly on this thing. You can go see the whole review. Great knife, but you can see the detent is very late on this thing. You can see it's bouncing, and that'll cause you to double clutch. So you have to get it past that detent, and then once you do, it falls shut. Really nice. I love the design. Carried it, a number of times. When I was doing a review, I carried it for a good bit of time. Didn't really get to put it through heavy paces, but good D2 blade. Definitely like that knife. All right. Now we get to one that's going to kind of break my heart because this really was my favorite knife of all of them, the Spidey Chef. But again, this is a replica, and because it's a replica, they didn't carburize the lock bar. So it is just kind of raw titanium rubbing on steel, and I have used this so much that the action on this thing is just glassy smooth. This is also a late detent, but a nice, smooth shut knife. Love the design, love the style. Y'all have heard me say all that before, but because it's not carburized, it's got a little bit of lock rock on it, just a little up and down right there where it has now worn enough of that titanium away that it rocks. Now, if you put pressure on that at all, there's absolutely no rock. It's solid as can be. It's not like that's going to break out of there or anything. So it's definitely still capable of good use, but just having that little bit of rock now has broken my heart. And so because of that, I don't carry this one as much as I used to. But that's a heartbreaker for me right there. All right, next in line is going to be the Spyderco Bowie. Just haven't had enough pocket time with this knife. I love it, but it's going to have the same problem because it's a replica. It's not going to be carburized. And so this one I haven't had as long as the Spidey Chef. The action on it is just beautifully smooth as can be on that, but it's not going to last for a very long time or stand up to a lot of wear and tear. I'll probably flip that thing 1,000 times at least. The Spidey Chef, this is nowhere near that yet. So love the knife, love the design, love the style. This is, again, one that I kind of bought to put into my knife museum. I just wanted a replica that looked and felt like the original for a collection. So again, a lot of this is just, I want it in a collection that has a great example, a replica of the real thing without having to buy the real thing because I might not use it that much, which is a shame, but that's just part of what I do and how I do it. All right, so there's the Bowie. Let's talk about number 4. This is interesting. This one actually has the most potential to move higher up the list, and it's simply because this knife is still so new to me. I really contemplated putting this higher on the list. I'll tell you right now, this is the knife that I'm carrying the most. So this is the OK branded OK81. It is a very similar knife in design to the paramilitary 2. That should be obvious to most people. However, there are significant design differences more than just having a square hole. The handle is actually shaped differently than the PM2 is shaped. This has a full carbon fiber pocket clip as opposed to a steel clip. That's pretty darn cool. It's right-hand carry only. And there are some other differences as well. The compression lock is just designed a little bit differently. You can see it's got a little finger groove in there. Makes it nice and comfortable. It's riding on bearings, although these aren't the best. I'll probably put skiffs on it. So I think this probably will become my most carried knife in 2025. It's supposed to be a real M390 steel. I doubt that, y'all. I don't think for the money that these sell for that they can really put a real M390 steel. And if they do, it certainly can't have been heat treated. I say all that, but I just don't know. I need some research. If anybody has any details or has seen anybody who has actually tested the steel on these OK knives, y'all hit me up in the comments and let me know, because I would really love to know if this is for real or not. There are models that also come with VG10, but this is marked as M390, and they're trying to say this is a real M390 blade. At any rate, feels great. Love the white carbon fiber. It's definitely, the action is good, the detent is good, the design is good. I like this a lot, and will carry that probably more than a PM2 this coming year. So just need a little more time. This definitely can move up in the rankings. All right, so now we're down to the old top 3 over here, and who's going to win? Let's bring those down here. Number 3. Civivi Vision. This is obviously the real deal. This is not a fake or a replica in any way. Everybody loves these, y'all. Y'all have seen these, I'm sure, from every knife reviewer and their cousin. I did replace the pocket clip that came on it with a titanium milled pocket clip. That definitely was a nice upgrade, and I think worth it for me. The action on this is phenomenal. The Sneck Superlock is great on it. I love the long, sharp blade. I think, what is this? Forget my steel on this as well. So this is Nitro V. That's what the steel is on this. Coated Nitro V blade. It's going to last pretty well. Has a nice good edge on it. I like that sheep's foot style. As you guys know, I like the ability to choke up. I love the fact that you can get your fingers under this and still make cuts on a table. So great knife for food prep type stuff, camping, but just about anything. This just fits in so many different scenarios. Fantastic knife, and I definitely still carry that a lot. All right, now we're down to 1 and 2. Y'all may or may not have seen this coming. So this was a tough toss-up for me. Number 2 is going to be right now, and that's what I've got is right now. This is either a Chris Reeve, this is a replica. It's either a Sebenza 25 or an 𝗙𝗂𝗹𝗃𝗲𝗀. It's got the 𝗙𝗂𝗹𝗃𝗲𝗀 pocket clip, but it has the Sebenza 25 stop pin button here. So on the real 𝗙𝗂𝗹𝗃𝗲𝗀, this is a solid stop pin that goes all the way through this scale. It's no screw on it. It's just a solid head on it. But I picked this up after having the 𝗙𝗦𝗻𝗀, which we'll talk about in a minute. And I love the action on that 𝗙𝗻𝗀. This is actually riding on washers. You can see it's gotten very smooth. It's now easy to flip out. I've actually ordered some of the real style of phosphor bronze washers with little spoked wheels on it. So I think that'll even make this knife even nicer. Again, I did a full review on it. Nice titanium scales. I like the pocket clip going half and half. I like having the thumb studs on both sides. I love that sheep's foot style blade with the big belly, just like I do with so many of my knives. The action has become quite smooth. It's not drop shut, but it's riding on washers. I don't expect it to, but it is incredibly smooth. Is it like as smooth as a real Chris Reeve? No, it's not going to be that smooth. Although, y'all, I don't know how you would tell much of a difference. I'd really love to hold a real one day that's been broken in just to see, because I'm going to tell you, this definitely feels pretty darn smooth and glassy to me. So I'm still testing this out. This is just a bit of a new knife for me. I'm still carrying it and using it. Incredibly sharp blade. They did a great job sharpening this out of the factory. Nice hollow grind on there. So a lot of things I liked, but originally I thought, well, I was going to get this and put it on bearings, because my number 1 knife, the 𝗙𝗻𝗀𝗀, is on bearings, and that is just become incredibly drop shut friendly and smooth. Y'all remember, I'm at an angle here, so I can't really do it up and down, but this thing has become incredibly smooth and fidget friendly on those bearings. I like the thicker stock in the blade. I like the thicker handles. I was worried when I first bought this. I thought, well, it's going to be too big of a knife for me. I'm not going to want to carry it. And the exact opposite is what has happened. I end up carrying this a lot. And even just fidgeting with this knife, I fidget with it a lot. I love the smoothness on it. The blade's pretty well centered. It came nice and sharp out of the box. Love the deep hollow grind on there. Love the rubber O-rings on those thumb studs. That actually does make it quite quiet when you're opening and closing this knife. So like if you were in an office and you just didn't want to irritate your friends a whole lot, you could slow roll this out and gently move it into place, nice and quietly, and then still bring it back home the same way, very quietly. So good for the sneakiness factor. I like the clip being half and half. That makes it so it's not riding on the lock bar. It makes it nice and easy to flip. There are some clear differences between this and the real thing, but full titanium scales. I like the design, the style. It has just become a favorite of mine for the smoothness and even the fidgetability of this knife. But I also feel like I have a good solid knife in my pocket if I'm going out to do anything where I'm uncertain how much I'm going to need to really put my knife through its paces. One of these stouter blades and scales just really makes me have that level of comfort. But again, these two are definitely getting a lot of rotation time as well. I think this year I'll probably spend more time on this Beluga because I really like it. I always, if I know I just need a strong beater knife to go do yard work or work on friends vehicles or whatever it may be, I'm probably going to carry one of these two knives down here. So let me know down in the comments. What I'd like to know is if y'all had these 10 knives to pick from, understanding the limitations of what they are, most of these being replica knives, because a lot of people who watch my videos watch them because they want to see how these replicas are. If this was your 10 to choose from, what would your top 3 be? I only need your top 3, and you're welcome to replace that with your own. What are your top 3 full-size knives that you're carrying this year or would be in your top 3 list? Hell, you can give me 10 if you want, but let me know what your top 3 for the year are. Maybe it'll give me some ideas on what I should try looking at or checking into as we come into this new year. Otherwise, I hope y'all have some happy holidays. I will continue to be putting out videos throughout the holiday period, so I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Hey, hit that subscribe and like button if you would. Give me a thumbs up if I did okay. I sure do appreciate that. It helps me out a lot. Thanks y'all so much. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.